Anklet season is here, and this is such a fun design to make with copper wire. It looks detailed, but each section is made with the same simple shape, so once you get the first one finished, the rest come together quickly. Start by cutting approximately 8 pieces of 16 gauge wire, each about 6 inches long. You may need slightly more or fewer pieces depending on the size of the anklet, so it is a good idea to check the length around your ankle as you work. To make each decorative section, begin by forming an open spiral on one end of the wire. Keep the center of the spiral open enough for the connecting link to pass through later. Next, create a long zigzag or narrow wave through the center of the wire. Then finish the other end with a second open spiral. Try to keep the pieces fairly similar in size, but they do not have to be perfectly identical. The small differences are part of the handmade look. Repeat this process until you have made all 8 pieces. Once you get into the rhythm of forming the spirals and center bend, the pieces come together quite quickly. Even though the finished anklet looks detailed, it is actually a simple and surprisingly fast design to make. Once the sections are finished, place them on your steel block and gently hammer them. Hammering flattens the wire slightly, adds strength, and gives the copper a beautiful textured finish. Now we need to make the small links that connect all the sections. Using flat nose pliers, bend a short piece of wire 3 times to create a small 3-sided rectangular shape. Cut it from the wire and repeat until you have enough connectors for the entire anklet. I use 16 gauge wire for these links, but I would recommend using 20 gauge wire instead. The thinner wire is easier to bend and close, especially when working in such a small space. I was a little rusty with this old jewelry making technique, so it took me a minute to remember the easiest way to do it. Slide one connector through the open spirals of 2 decorative sections. Hold the newest section securely, then gently push the 2 open ends of the connector slightly closer together. This makes the link much easier to fold. Bend the connector in half so the joined sections can turn and sit flat against the skin. Continue adding the decorative pieces one at a time until the anklet reaches the length you need. To finish, make a simple hook clasp. You only need the hook on one end because it will fasten directly through the open spiral on the opposite end. Fold a piece of wire in half and bend the tip upward slightly to create the hook. Shape the folded wire into a smooth curve, then make a small loop on the opposite end. Leave that loop open while you attach it to the final spiral and then close it securely. Check that every connector is completely closed and that there are no sharp wire ends. Then slightly curve each spiral to mold to your ankle. Your handmade copper anklet is now ready to wear.